Hello, everybody. Welcome to Epistemic, episode number 15, titled Encouraging Youth. Apparently, I'm no longer in that category, so I feel very old today. But today we have as our host me, Reid Nice Wonder, aka Cordial Curiosity. And we also have, as usual, Anthony Magnabosco and Daniel Earls, our co-hosts. What's up, you guys?
Hello.
Hey,
What's up? Good to see everybody.
Yep.
Yes, and our very special guests today are Rachel, Iain, and Drew. What's up, you guys?
Hey
guys, it's awesome to be here.
Yeah, and Drew, aka Genetically Modified Skeptic. What's up?
I love that name. How did you even come up with that?
Well, I'm the first in 4 generations of men in my family to not be a missionary. People always said it's in my blood, it's in my genes, right? And I'm not. That's not me. Also, I like the GMO controversy because the propaganda is hilarious. It's amazing.
GMOs are delicious.
Yep.
All right. So, how's it been going? What have you guys been up to since last time?
Oh, well, we were at the Faithless Forum.
That's right.
Was it 2 weeks ago? I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
It seems longer for some reason, but It was awesome. The folks behind that were Drew here, as well as Godless Engineer and Casey. I want to say it's Oakley is her last name.
It's her screen name is Caitlin Chloe, and that's what she goes by.
Caitlin.
So
okay,
yeah.
Caitlin. Yeah, and several others, Telltale. And we had this event in Dallas, and they invited me to come speak and give the opening talk, and it was really cool. And I was surprised with as little preparation. We spent 2 months, 3 months. I didn't do anything. I just showed up. People worked their asses off behind the scenes, and it was great. I think there were close to 60 people there or something. It was recorded. Great turnout, great response, and I think there's talk of doing another one, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, definitely. So it was amazing. We really, I think, created exactly what we were going for, and had people really interacting a lot. And it's really cool to have a street epistemology workshop where people just dive right in. All the creators decided to not sit together and just talk to the fans, attendees, and do some role play stuff. And it was a great time.
Mm-hmm.
How nice you guys did a workshop and stuff.
Yeah, I did a SE workshop there. It was, I think I had 50 minutes, and there was time for some questions too.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. And what I really liked about this was it was this group of people who they generate content. They're content creators, and some even flew in from Alaska. One guy even flew in from Alaska to be there. Zod, Prophet Zod, I think is his handle.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool because sort of the general message was that it's really not that hard to make this content, and your content can make a difference. And it was, I think, very encouraging for a lot of people in the audience and people that will be watching the videos as well, that we need to hear your voice, and it's not that hard to do it, and your voice can make a difference. And I really love the positive vibe of that conference and that message.
Oh yeah, it was so cool. And the fact that we got it together, or I didn't help, but the fact that it got together in 2 months. I mean, you never hear stories like that. Most of the times people's first conferences are a disaster and a half, but this went great. Especially for a YouTube atheist conference. You'd think there'd be drama, but no, it was fun. I got to be there on Godless Engineer stream on the very last night. That was the first time I think anyone has ever recorded me drunk on camera, so that was cool. Just hanging out with people, and then I got to meet Drew, and turns out we've been watching each other's stuff for the past year. We didn't know it.
And we stayed up till 7 a.m. just drinking and being like, so dude, you think about life.
Yes. It was amazing. And talking with Thomas Westbrook too, and just sharing stories and stuff. Man, it was a blast.
I saw Thomas's video, or at least a little bit of it, and he's just so charismatic and just really into it for sure.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah,
he's
and I saw myself in the background.
Speaker, very animated, as he likes to say. That's his
name. So it was just a great time. I loved it so much.
You know what was also cool is how many times the speakers referenced street epistemology in a favorable way at one point or the other. I think at least 4 or 5 times I heard a speaker mention it as a possible way of having a conversation, and that was it was encouraging to see young people get that message and speak about SE so positively.
Well, I mean, Telltale, he was an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and so he's had a really difficult situation, and he wants to conduct his channel really cordially. Sorry, Reid. And so do I, you know. So when we're asked on streams, we always say, like, we were on a Lloyd Evans stream together, and we were like, he asked us, you know, what's the best way you feel to have a conversation about this with someone you don't know? And we're like, we both say street epistemology at the same time. So it was just it was a no-brainer for us, you know.
Yeah, I've been on Telltale's Discord, and he just kind of talks with fans individually and stuff. And whenever claims come up, like, he does use SE, and he does it really well.
Yeah.
He's really good at it. So it's really cool to see people use it.
So that was a Faithless Forum, and I think there's plans for a second one. So if you missed this year's, make sure that you go to Faithless Forum. Is it .org or .com?
It's .com.
Okay, and I think they're making plans already for the next one.
Yep.
Check it out.
Awesome. So next up on our agenda here is I guess we'll just get into the main topic, which is just street epistemology and the youth. So
The youth.
Youths.
What do we mean by youth here? Like, what are the ages we're talking about?
Yeah. So, tell us how old you are and why we thought you qualified for this discussion.
Start with Drew, maybe.
Yeah, Drew, go for it.
Yeah, let's do that.
So I am 23. I actually found Anthony on the Thinking Atheist podcast from like a few years ago, right, Anthony?
Yeah, that was about 2 or 3 years ago. I think I was on with Peter.
Yeah, that was one of the very first, I think, atheist podcasts that I ever listened to right after like deconverting, and so that had an impact on me. And eventually, just in trying to figure out how to like have more constructive conversations, I knew that Anthony had a channel, and so I was like, you know what, I should look that up and just check into that and see what it's about, and kind of just binge watch everything that Anthony had, and you know, then studying it for myself, joining the Facebook groups and that kind of thing. And I found that not only using it in my comments makes a more kind of constructive dialogue in my comments section, but especially when if it's overcrowded and people get really it's like being in a hot room, you know, crowded with a bunch of people. So that's a really good tool to facilitate a better discussion. But then also I use it with family members who disagree, and it's a lot easier to do that, and it's a lot more constructive to use SE than to just use counter apologetics, because that doesn't really get your relationship anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. And how about you, Ian? What's your story? How old are you? Oh, you're muted, bud.
Yeah, I can't hear him.
Oh, can barely hear you. Can you try again?
Can you get closer to the mic?
He's got earbuds in, I think.
Is it?
Try
You know what?
unplugging your headphones.
Your headphones
Yeah,
might not have a
unplug.
microphone on it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a pair.
Yes.
Yeah, better.
Yes.
That's fine.
So sorry about that.
Oh, there you go. That's okay.
I'm Iain. I'm part of the SE community, 17, which probably makes me one of the youngest in it right now. There's not a lot of young people, but yeah, no, a friend introduced me to SE like a year and a half ago, and I remember just watching through like several hours of Anthony's videos, kind of amazed by how effective it seemed to be compared to any other conversation I'd ever seen about, you know, deeply held beliefs, etc. And so I was just immediately drawn to it and thought that this was, you know, an incredibly powerful tool that definitely deserves some attention. And so I joined the Facebook, and I've, just been involved wherever I can.
You're not only in one of the Facebook groups. I think you are also an administrator or a moderator of one of them. I think the critique one, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Did either of you two stumble across the conversation that I had with Daniel by any chance? I'm kind of curious.
Recently? I don't think so.
No. The one where I encountered him and his friend at the school. No?
I've seen that one.
Okay, you have.
I think I've probably seen like at least 4/5 of your videos and read. So yeah.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
At least, if
Tell
not
us a
more.
little bit about yourself, Rachel.
Sure. My name's Rachel. I'm 23. I almost said 24. I'm 23. I was raised with lots and lots of beliefs, and I'm kind of similarly to Daniel. I'm a somewhat graduate of SE. So I started encountering things through university that didn't quite fit with the worldview that I was raised with, but I didn't know that I could trust my own thoughts and my own experiences to lead what I believed. And so I had a lot of dissonance, but I didn't know that I could solve that dissonance on my own. And I came across Doug on Pinecreek about almost a year ago, or a little over a year ago now. And after watching him and hearing him question, I started questioning. And it wasn't long after that, maybe like a month. And then I was an atheist, basically. And I watched lots and lots and lots of YouTube. I stumbled across SE a little bit after that. I had been watching some videos where atheists like harass street preachers, and those are kind of fun. And the first video I saw of Anthony's was the one where he was doing the God test, and you didn't ask them any questions after you did it. You were just like, oh, okay, cool. You didn't use any counter apologetics, and I was like, that's so weird. So I started watching more of your videos, and I stumbled across regular SE videos, and I thought it was amazing. And I'm really glad that I did, because it's really helped me navigate conversations with family. So
Cool.
yeah.
You know that God test video? Reid, I don't know if you were watching that live or not. You may have been.
So.
I was live streaming. And that was an afterthought. Like there was this booth set up and these people were giving a God test. And I was just, oh yeah, look at what's going on over there. And then the live stream viewer said, go over there and take it. And I was like, I'd rather get back to doing my SE videos, but okay. So I go over there and I do this test where I'm basically just giving answers and not asking them questions. Not that I wasn't arguing with them and I wasn't rude, but it definitely wasn't street epistemology. But the funny thing is, that is my most watched video. Like YouTube loves it for some reason.
That's funny.
So I've even like changed the thumbnail to like give people a clue that this is really not indicative of what my typical videos are.
Doesn't it have like 500,000 views?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I wish there was a way, like I was actually thinking about making videos up so I could just put like little cards on it to say, you know, go to my playlist of my top 10 to really see what I'm up to. But I don't know. Some people eventually gravitate to the other stuff. Like it sounds like you did.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So you're kind of in the same boat with Daniel in that you encountered somebody who was asking these questions, and then you started thinking about your beliefs and then checking out more SE content. Yeah, cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, SE is extremely useful because I found in my I have these really, really long conversations with my parents, and I don't necessarily pull back the onion and get down to their method every time, but just the approach of really listening and repeating back what they're saying, it just avoids so many misunderstandings. And I found I've tried doing a few counter apologetics type arguments and they just bounce off. They just don't, they don't work. So it's really made my relationship with my parents way better than it would have been otherwise, I think. So
damn.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah, Drew.
One of the big things about SE, I think, is that it's really impressive how calm and collected you're able to be when you're not actually trying to respond to what the other person's saying. A lot of the time, I think that's one of the a really big strong point is that you're not like constantly being, oh, I think this, I think this, I think this. Instead, you're sort of listening to what they're saying and like really just not getting too involved in the situation.
Yep.
That's cool.
Reach a citizen. Yeah. That's what I always think.
You know, I was kind of wondering though, is even though you guys sort of had favorable experiences with SE, do you think that the approach could scare young people off, or because it's less entertaining, perhaps, that maybe they wouldn't take the time to look into it? Or are there any downsides of the approach that you think might pose a special challenge to younger people?
Well, I think I can speak to that as a YouTuber. I get comments that tell me to be meaner all the time. You know, I don't know what age group they're coming from necessarily, but I think that a you know, quote unquote drawback for young people, it would be the same across really any generation, any age, is that, yeah, it's not confrontational, and that's a lot of the time what people are going for. If a lot of videos, like, I think one of the reasons why that God test video might have done well is because people click on it because they want to hear how like dumb this person is in asking their questions or something. And that's what a lot of response videos are. I mean, there's literally hundreds of videos that are all titled, you know, theists asked ridiculous questions about atheists or something like that. And it's the same video over and over and over, but it still does well. And it stems from wanting to be entertained by conflict. So, I mean, that's a natural thing. So it's not just a young person issue. It's really just a human being issue. But yeah, I mean, people want something more lively. I think that's one of the reasons why young people have trouble with some atheist groups, because they tend to be pretty low key. And so, I mean, you know, the young SE people are trying to fix that. I'm trying to fix that in my area. But
that reminds me of the atheist group that we have in my city. It's old people. Like the average age is probably 65. Like I feel young when I go there, just put it that way. And I see families show up with kids, young families, and they show up one time and they go to a meeting or see a speaker and they never come back.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real challenge for a lot of the atheist groups that are out there, and maybe even the online communities that are populated by older people. I'm not sure.
I was just thinking also that SE can seem a little intimidating, because you're going up to strangers and you're asking them what they believe. And I know young people are usually interested in, like, you know, being cool and impressing people. So there's sometimes more pressure to like not offend other people or I don't know, seem cool to everyone else in your in-group. And it's kind of hard to talk about deeply held beliefs when you're worried about what the other people are thinking of you. So yeah.
And also,
to add to that, I think that like the young people also have a lot of like much less experience with actually trying to accomplish what SE is trying to accomplish, which is to like essentially change people's minds about something that they may be a belief that they may be holding. And I feel like if you haven't really like had enough time in your life maybe to go out there and really try to talk with people about these kinds of things, then you're not going to be as receptive to new methods of like going about doing that. Yeah.
Also, if you haven't really thought about what you believe, it's kind of hard to talk to other people about what they believe.
See, I would see that as a strength, though. That would actually be advantageous for SE if you didn't know your position on a particular view. Like, I really think that would be beneficial. That's interesting that might hold somebody back. I can understand why. Well,
I was just thinking like the core values that you hold important in general. Like if you don't know about a specific issue, sure, but I think that just comes with, like, that just leads to confidence in yourself and in what you're trying to do. Yeah.
Well, I also hope the young people realize that you don't have to initiate talks on the street with strangers to use this.
Yeah, like, that's something we really tried to push at the Faithless Forum. We were like, street epistemology, like the street's just a brand thing, you know? Like, you can just do it anywhere. It's not like, it's a method for all sorts of applications. You don't have to go out and initiate these conversations. That's why we kind of talked about the difference between having organic conversations and kind of more initiated ones, and how those can differ. And yeah, it's I wish more people recognize that as well.
Yep. Also, I think a lot of young people have this interesting dynamic where they're still under their parents' authority or living at home or whatever, like me, kind of. And that just adds a whole different dynamic when your parents believe something and you believe something different, and it's very important to them. So it's kind of necessary to have some skills to talk about these things. I mean, you don't have to, but it helps so much. So
that's true. SE kind of undermines authority sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
Not just religious authority, you know, anybody that claims to be an expert on something, right? Yeah.
It's funny how not taking a position and asking questions could be seen as undermining authority.
Yeah,
I mean, I get it, because the questions can be extremely unnerving to folks.
Yep.
If honestly though, for younger people, I think that may be a strength, because I mean, we're all at an age where we are questioning authority. Everybody our age, really. I mean, you know, as a fundamentalist, and when I was 17, I was questioning the status quo like crazy, and I didn't come out of religion for several more years, but still, I was rebellious and wanted to find my own way, even if that was within this narrow view of Christianity. And so, you know, if we're talking marketing basically here, or just trying to spread this as far as we can, then that's a selling point, right? Is saying, hey, this does undermine authority. I think another thing is we all do have struggles. A lot of us have struggles with our parents. You know, I'm definitely not an exception. I mean, Seth Andrews just turned 50, and his last podcast was about him, or what he put up on his channel, at least from the American Atheist Convention. He's talking about his parents.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit less frequent in his age group, but it's extremely prevalent in ours. And so that's another selling point. I mean, is for younger people to be like, this helped me out with my parents. I mean, not only did it help our relationship, but I'm better off because they don't think I'm a brat as much when I use this approach. You know.
So what I'm hearing, Drew, is that we need to get SE on MTV.
Does anyone still watch MTV?
That's true. Nobody watches.
That
MTV.
was our generation.
Yeah.
If we're talking marketing as well, the name itself, epistemology. I mean,
that's true.
But all the younger people, that automatically says, "Oh, this is some niche philosophy group that I don't want to understand or anything." You know?
Yeah, I feel that too. Yeah,
that's a good point.
Maybe a rebranding is in order. This comes up every once in a while.
Yeah, I tell my friends about street epistemology, and they don't know what I'm talking about, and they're not nearly as interested in that as I am. I think if you've come from a background where you have a lot of beliefs and then you come out of it, it's I don't know, you're just more interested in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be a little foreign to people.
Yeah.
But it's weird because like my encounter with the method was actually having the method on me. And that's what made me so interested of it. And so like the criticisms were kind of an afterthought for me because it was like so effective on me. So I think the best way to show that, to tell someone about it is to show it, or is to do it with someone, I think, and then kind of tell them maybe what you're doing. You know, I think that might be just a way.
Well, but Dan, you talked to me about your group going to, I think you said that some of the people from the SSA or some of your friends will go to an apologetics group and do that.
Yeah, we talk to them, and we do that on Tuesday night. Some of us will go over, and it's kind of difficult sometimes because I'm not going to say that I'm better at it than them or I know better, but like they don't always follow through with it sometimes, and they just kind of go off on these rabbit trails, which end up into counter apologetics. And I kind of tell them afterwards, like, guys, we need to come on now, you know, like, you know, kind of herding cats sometimes.
Like,
yeah.
When I scratch my head, it means you're getting off track or something.
Yeah.
You know what I noticed when I became more comfortable by saying that I was an atheist, I became like an angry one. And then when I discovered this method, it helped me get a better grip on my anger. I kind of like to get your thoughts on whether you think SE might help young people deal with the anger phase better or not at all, or what are your views on that? Like, do you think that this approach, because it's a different option, might help people avoid damaging the relationships at the start, which is kind of common when people go through that phase?
Yeah, I think having conversations with believers can be very frustrating, especially if you have a deep relationship with those people. So I think a lot of people are just mad anyways if they believe something that they no longer believe is true. And just having people not understand each other, just it increases that frustration so much. And for me personally, I don't know, I'm not an angry person at all. So I think I was more sad than anything. So my angry atheist phase was like, well, that sucked. But yeah, I think definitely it's led to, I think there's still been lots of miscommunication just because these conversations are difficult, but I think that SE can really help with that. Anyone else have thoughts?
Yeah, I think because, we kind of have to ask ourselves, where does the anger come from? And for me, it's like, well, I know that I've done my research and I've taken time to think about this, and to have somebody tell me otherwise, you know, that's frustrating. And so one of the things I learned really early on, especially from watching Anthony's stuff, is you have to approach every single conversation with the mindset that you don't know anything, that you're honestly there just to learn their worldview and their beliefs. And you are just trying to honestly figure out if that's true as kind of an objective third-party source, and approaching it at that angle as opposed to, you know, an atheist angle in particular, or any other kind of position, I think is kind of helpful in kind of avoiding situations where you feel too personally invested.
Yeah, I think there was oh, go ahead.
I think the anger, though, kind of applies to pretty much all ages and not just like young people specifically. I think if you end up losing your belief in a God, say, at any age, you're going to be rather frustrated about it for a while. And
oh yeah, so should we talk about our Facebook group?
Yeah, I was noticing that there was a post from, I want to say it was Rachel, making a post suggesting breaking off, or maybe it was you, Dan, I don't remember, sort of an idea of creating another Facebook group specifically for young people. And that kind of generated some discussion in the group.
Yeah.
So why do you want to leave the main group? And
Get off my lawn.
We can't give you from the older people. It was kind of funny when we watched the reaction.
We made a lot of people feel old.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I'll kind of tell the origins of this. So I've been talking with Rachel one-on-one and Patrick Naden, who's not here today, one-on-one, who's also an admin of the group. And I realized, oh, these are two good people. They should talk to each other and we should all talk together. So we kind of made a group chat of the three of us. And then we're like, hey, we should get more people our age. And so we kind of had a bigger group chat, and we're like, you know what, we should just do a Facebook group of just like all of us and kind of do our own thing. And so we kind of got these plans together and stuff. And we got Iain in there. And we were like, okay, well, we'll just make a post and we'll just kind of tell people what's going on. And honestly, I did not expect the reactions that we got from people. I was just shocked. We were already such a niche community, and to see that kind of, I don't want to say vitriol, but it was just kind of like people were, they just didn't get it. And so honestly, you know, when I first came to the SE Facebook page, I realized like, oh, I'm definitely like the minority here as far as, you know, there are people here who have kids twice my age here. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's not bad. It's great that we can all come to and discuss things, but you know, like for someone like me or anybody else who's my age and who's kind of interested in this kind of stuff, it can be a bit off-putting because the struggles that we go through in our personal lives. I mean, we talked about our parents, although we said that comes with any age, but specifically the kinds of conversations that we have and the SE topics that we can discuss, you know, kind of defer in someone who may be in a later position in life or who is much more established in themselves. So we thought, well, we can provide a way for people to kind of come here and say, oh, look, it's not just old people, it's us too, you know, come on down. And it wasn't a way to like separate us from the group. None of us we're all still subscribed to the same groups and we're all still posting the other ones. We just kind of wanted our own place to kind of, you know, talk about our own stuff. You know, and someone joked we're kind of like a youth group. I mean, yeah, basically. I mean, there's a reason why youth groups exist. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, Thomas says that, and he said on the stream right next to you, right after you had gone on a little bit of a drunk rant, that If you weren't going to bring it up, I was going to bring it up. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, Thomas says like a cult is an organization and a charity is an organization. You know, church is an organization. The SSA is an organization. If we get afraid of organizations, then we're ultimately going to fail, because that's how society has progressed to this level. We're just trying to work out the kinks in it, right? So if a group of young people, if a group of youths makes a youth group, then sure, whatever, you can call it that if you want to. It doesn't belittle the meaning. Like, you have to dig a little bit deeper into it and ask a few questions to figure out what your motivation is behind it, rather than, oh, this is a group of people, must be a religion, must be a cult, must be,
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if they do it voluntarily. I mean, you guys feel free to do whatever you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm wondering? Is there a minimum age that is there a cutoff? Like, if somebody's
there is
let them
actually.
join, or
You can't join Facebook until you're 13, so we figured that would be the minimum age right there. So.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
that's good.
We were going to say 18 at first, but then, Iain wouldn't be able to come. So.
Dang.
I think, humans are social creatures and we need friends. And I thought I just wanted to make some friends. Like, I'm really fine with hanging out and talking with anybody from any age. But yeah, most people are older.
Yeah. And it's not that we didn't enjoy those conversations, and we still do, obviously. We still talk to everybody.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's hard to relate to somebody who has kids the same age as you. You know what I mean? It's just, it's two different points in life.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And we think that if more people would be encouraged, more younger people would be encouraged to do SE if they saw other people doing SE and saying that, hey, this is,
Yeah, I do think it would be really neat to see some younger folks uploading content, whether it's on the street or kind of what Drew does or whatever. But I think younger people would appeal to seeing younger people. It would be appealing to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why
it's amazing.
Oh, go ahead, Reid.
I was just speaking of all these new channels that have popped up just even recently. We've had deep discussions and street knowledge, but now we've got Seeds of Thought and Street Socratics and Let's Chat. It looks like this summer is going to be a big boom to more SE content coming. So it's
I'm
great
loving
to see.
it. I really am loving the explosion that we're seeing. How can people find your group? What should they search for in Facebook?
So it is the Young Street Epistemologists is the name of the group. And it is a closed group right now. So you got to ask for an invite, and then we'll probably let you in. We have a short questionnaire, right?
Do we?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't set that up. But we've got about, 20 members right now?
Yeah, about that. If you can't get in, message me. You find me on the SE study group.
If you want, I can actually put the link up to the Facebook group in the chat. But if you guys want to vet it a little bit more than that, then that's all good. Just let me know.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
We'll add a link to that in the show notes as well, on the audio version as well as the video version of this.
And right now we're trying to organize something with Drew on trying to do some SE on his YouTube comment section. Right?
Yeah. So, and this is something I'd mentioned to Anthony before. We'll have our hurdles with this, just because it's doing SE in a hot, crowded room a little bit. But if we can put together a group to make it to where more people, not just people that tend to catch my attention, encounter a street epistemologist. And for me, honestly, the majority of people that are watching, are atheists, right? So, and there's still a rationality there. I mean, being an atheist doesn't mean that you're even a skeptic at all. So what I'm trying to do is make it to where people come and they have certain odd objections, or they make certain claims, and they encounter one of the team that comes in and just has a nice conversation with them to where maybe they get somewhere. And then obviously I have people that come in, and right before this, I was telling you guys that someone just gave me the entire genealogy of Muhammad in a quote or in a comment, and wasn't super convincing. But what if someone like that encounters a street epistemologist in the comments section? And we'll have to I'll try to moderate to make sure not a lot of people are throwing counter apologetics into the conversation, throw a wrench into the works. But if we can work something out to where my commenters encounter that, then I think we may have a lot more of a cohesive community that is focused on actually getting somewhere with our conversation.
Yeah, I think that would be the critical success factor, is making sure that observers of the dialogue just jump in to make sure it's staying on track and dissuading people from derailing it. So, you know, if you can get to the point where they're just doing that for you, you're just hosting the you know, you make the video and then the conversations go. That would be great if they can get to the point.
I'm hoping that some regular viewers will end up seeing the SE team in there and then just be like, oh, hey, what are they doing? You know, and monitor it and be like, I want to do this too. And then, you know, people wouldn't necessarily have to be part of the team, and they just start engaging with all of the other commenters. That would be amazing.
Damn.
Yeah.
They'll just say, who are all these cool people? Can I join? And we'll say,
brilliant.
yeah, come on in.
Yeah, great.
Well, that's brilliant. Yeah, I usually just don't do much with my face or my YouTube comments. And usually they're very positive, but I don't see a lot of extended conversations going on in there.
Yeah, I've had a few chats with my commenters. I try to get them on, you know, Google Hangout or something, and sometimes I live stream with them. So have you had any plans to do anything like that, to actually talk with them kind of face to face?
Yeah, we have been talking about scheduling live streams for the group. We don't have any plans yet, but that is something that we've talked about. So we'll probably do that in the next week or two.
Yeah, I was thinking it could be something like the community hangouts that were happening with the regular SE group, but it would be restricted to young people being on the stream. And I think that would be really cool in encouraging other young people to get involved.
I'll make sure and promote those, because if I did a hangout that was open to just about anybody, especially people kind of on the other side, I get people who track down my like personal Facebook and are like, oh, you need to come and debate me. If you don't, then you kick in. And I'm gonna debate you and convert you right now, and you're gonna be so embarrassed. And so it's I don't want some wild cards being thrown into things and it just turns into a big crapshoot. But yeah, I'd love to support you guys with your hangouts.
Cool.
Yeah, I was just thinking too that I would be remiss if I didn't mention that there are people who are even younger than you folks that are learning this method. I've heard of stories, even from a family member who has taught his kids this method, and they are now using it with mom, who still believes.
Oh, wow.
Or there was another person, a young woman, who started using this with her friends at school after one of them made a claim about God. I think she was like 7 or 8 years old, 9 years old. And even a teenager. One of the guests we wanted to have on, she wasn't able to make it. I think she's a senior or junior in high school, and she learned SE from watching videos and practicing with her dad. And then when the moment came, she had a great conversation with people. So even though even though people can't be on Facebook, for example, to join your group, I think it should be worth noting that I think there are younger people who are learning the method and finding it useful and applying it with great success.
Yes. Really, really cool stuff.
All right.
Love it. All right. Yeah, anything else about that? Nope. All right. So let's move on to the announcements. So Anthony, you've got some podcasts coming up.
Yes. So tonight I'm on something called The Nuanced Common Ground with Michael Jones. That's tonight at, I want to say it's 8 p.m. Central Time. So if you follow my Twitter, you'll see a link to that. And then in, it looks like next week, I'll be on Lloyd Evans's podcast. I'm really looking forward to meeting him. He's an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and I see his name on social media all the time. So it's going to be nice to finally meet with him. And then the other thing I wanted to announce is I'm working with an illustrator. Her name is Rebecca Fox. I met her at QEDCon in Manchester, England, about a year ago. She's a brilliant illustrator and author, and she writes about cognitive dissonance and the difficulties of changing your mind and all the challenges that come with that. So we are working together on 2 projects, and I'm very eager to release those. It's going to be probably a month or so before the first one, but then I think maybe 6 months before the second one. So keep an eye out for that.
Reminds me of the oatmeal comic on the backfire effect. Is it going to be something like that?
It's funny you say that because she showed me this 10-page cartoon that she put together that's brilliant. And I was wondering if it could be packaged in a way like that oatmeal example where it could go viral. So we're going to try to release it. We're turning her comic book, her 10-page comic book, into a short video where we'll show the cartoons, and then either her or I or both will narrate it. And then we'll release it as a short, 2-minute video or something. And then people can go and check out her other works.
Nice. And you were just on JRR Talking as well, Anthony, is that right?
Yeah, I was on this podcast. JRR Talking is his name. He is really he has cordial conversations with people. He's tired of arguing, and he realizes the disadvantageousness of that. So he invited me on a show, and I just tweeted out a link to that on my Twitter a couple days ago. Yesterday, I think it was. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So Daniel and Drew, you have something about Camp Quest?
Yeah. So, well, Daniel and I will be, I've done this before, and it'll be Daniel's first time, but it looks like we're going to be counselors or volunteers at Camp Quest, Texas, which is a camp for, people say it's a free thought camp, but I've conducted activities there that was about critical thinking, and one of the kids raises their hands and says, well, if that's the method we should be using, then that means that my belief in astrology isn't true, because it doesn't stand up to that. And that's part of my religious belief. I had that happen several times actually last year. And there are a lot of kids that go there. It's a very accepting, open-minded camp that's all run by atheists and free thinkers, but it's not exclusively for atheists and free thinkers. It's just there to encourage critical thinking skills among kids and to give kids a freaking break from all of the church camps that we have around here. Because sometimes you just want to go canoeing and you just want to hang out with your friends and not really talk about biblical stuff, So it's a great opportunity for kids to hang out. They have Camp Quest all over the country. I believe there's one in the UK and one in Canada as well. Camp Quest Texas is one of the biggest ones in the US. So we're going to have fun hanging out with some really rowdy kids and hopefully, passing along some critical thinking skills that we've accrued onto them. But Dan will be a nice volunteer there. He's done some Christian ministry stuff. So
it's
true. Turn that around then.
Yeah, I'm going from preaching the gospel at a camp to doing literally the exact opposite. So
my kids ended up going to that camp 4 years in a row. They got tired of it eventually, but they loved it. And the organizers invited me. I don't know if it's official yet. I think they're still checking out my videos to make sure I'm okay, I'm safe. But I think they are going to have me come and give a class to at least one of the groups of campers on street epistemology. And one idea that I had, I wanted to run it by you guys, let you know, tell me what you think. But I was thinking it might be cool to make that oobleck, that non-Newtonian fluid, and use it as a metaphor, because that's that liquid that if you pound on it, it resists it. It's like a solid. But if you just slowly sort of sink your fingers into it, it turns into a liquid. And I thought that might kind of be a fun thing to make as I'm talking about some of these concepts with them.
Oh, that would be so much
great.
Fun. I think they would love that.
You should get the actual material, get it off eBay, and then
you can make it. It's pretty easy to make.
Okay.
Cornstarch and water, I believe.
Yep, I think so.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think that would be really fun.
That's a great idea.
That way they're doing something as I'm talking to them about some of these concepts.
Yeah. And one fun thing is that you can always pick a camper that really likes to participate and help out, and you can end up tossing some at them at one point, and it catches everybody's attention. Let them know that you're trying to have fun. And no, I think that's a great idea. I've been telling the directors since I worked there last year. I was like, we have this thing called Socrates Cafe here, and that's the cornerstone of Camp Quest. And literally, it's just teaching the kids street epistemology without having a name for it. So, and by people who don't practice it regularly. So what if we get someone that does practice it regularly, has done it for 5 years, has given tons of talks on there, has done workshops to come in and actually teach. This is the method we're actually using. You know, you don't just have to imply things. You can say, this is the method I use. Try it out and see if you like it.
I appreciate you telling them about it. So I think they're interested, and we're just kind of working out the details.
Well, it'd be awesome to have you there. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it comes to fruition.
Very cool. All right, so Dan, you had something about the SSA?
So I've talked to Ryan Bell, who does his own podcast on deconversion stories and stuff. He did the Year Without God, and then became an atheist out there, I'm sure here. So he's part of the SSA. And I've talked to him, and he is interested in having me lead a SE workshop at the SSA this summer, SSA conference at the end of June in Ohio. So still working out the details on that. To be honest, one of my biggest concerns is, so recently I'll go ahead and tell the story. Recently, my parents found out that I had these atheist shirts and stuff from these other conferences that I went to. And that ended up being a whole ordeal. So I haven't told them that I've been want to go to this conference in Ohio and speak at it. So I don't know how I'm going to approach that yet. And I still really want to do it, but I still got to see about that. So anyway, we're probably going to have a booth. Hopefully I'll get a fundraiser started to get some money for that. Other than that, they're offering to pay for my travel expenses and everything to get there, which is awesome. So it'll be my first conference that I lead, first workshop that I lead by myself, which is freaking awesome if it works out. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I think you'll be great. You'll be great at it. I mean, you watched three workshops of mine, right? Were you?
2 of them in person, and then the ones you posted online. So
Yeah. So yeah, the American Atheist one, I think you were there for one, and then the Faithless Forum. So
and then at Oasis when you did that one too. So
so you understand the concepts, you understand the workshop, and the materials are there. You'll be fine. And so at some point I think we'll post some little fundraisers so we can raise some money to cover the tabling expenses, because I think they are going to charge you to table. And wouldn't it be nice to have, like, I don't know, 200 t-shirts to hand out to the SSA members who will be going back to their universities and walking around their campuses and telling their local groups about this method?
It would be very awesome.
So hopefully we can raise some money to really get SE front and center on people's minds there.
Dude, if you passed out ramen with SE stickers on the packages.
Yes. Oh, that's a good idea.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we got stickers too. So
we do.
And I'll also, I mentioned last time, I'm trying to work on a podcast with a Christian apologist, and that's already in the works. His name is Dean Meadows. He's the co-founder of the Apologia Institute, right? That'd be embarrassing if I got that wrong. And we're going to start plans on that next week. So look forward to hearing more about that soon. Also, Rachel and I and Patrick Naden, another member of our group, are going to try a test recording to kind of see if we want to do our own kind of young SE podcast of sorts, variety show, something. We're going to try out some ideas, see what sticks. Just do like just doing a little test recording today and see what that looks like and see if it's worth our time. But yeah, that's all the news I got from me.
Ian, I was wondering, Ian, do you have any opportunities to talk about SE or maybe give a presentation or something like that? And are you a member of any local groups?
There's really not a lot of talk about religion in where I live, which is Ireland. Like we're pretty lax about it here, despite being like a very, very Catholic place. But no, there's like practically no groups that I could possibly join or anything I could really speak at for anything like that, I'm afraid.
Cool. All right. And also, Drew, you had something to say about your foundation?
Yeah. So I will be, or I guess I was elected president of a new nonprofit, which is Faithless Forum. So we are 2 months and 2 weeks in the making. We think that we pulled off this Faithless Forum in 2 months, and it went relatively well. And we're kind of a response to a lot of the fracturing that's happened in the atheist community, and the fact that it is kind of tough to feel comfortable at a lot of atheist meetups as a young person. And YouTube is the perfect thing to kind of bridge that gap. So we're really creator centric. It's a nonprofit foundation that we're just going to use funds to put on conferences and sponsor charities if we ever have anything left over. And yeah, it's hopefully our goal is to create community through having constructive discussion and conversation. So a lot of that is teaching people how to have constructive conversations. That's why we kicked off Faithless Forum 1 with having Anthony there. Anthony's a content creator, but he's also a great person to learn from. If you want to actually have a constructive dialogue, then, he's your guy to go to. So we'll continue that. We're working on our one in Dallas that we'll have next year. And hopefully we'll see more than just one Faithless Forum happening per year eventually. Maybe getting up into Rachel's neck of the woods and involving some people. Maybe we'll have one in LA one day, and Reid will be there. And yeah, so it's going to be fun stuff.
Wow.
It's a big project, but we have a lot of people that are really, really devoted to helping it out. So I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
If you come around the Toronto area, I will show up.
Well, if we were going to have one in Canada, it would be in Toronto. So
perfect.
I should say, seeing you guys form an organization for the Faithless Forum after that successful conference that you had, we've been intending to start an organization for SE. And I've been, I have this paperwork here, and we're kind of finalizing the details. But seeing that you guys were taking action on the Faithless Forum, it was like, okay, God damn it, Anthony, get off your ass and just get this done. So it's been motivation for me. So you guys are actually motivating us to be a little bit more proactive. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, it's reciprocal motivation, right? I'm motivated to have the conversations that I do by your stuff. And if you're motivated by our, foundation, then great.
Sure.
We'll just keep doing it.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, this was a great chat. Thanks, you guys. Really nice.
Yeah, this was awesome. Really, thank you guys for taking the time to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Sure. So we'll just end with you guys giving any of your contact info or social media. Drew, want to start out?
Yeah, so I'm on YouTube at Genetically Modified Skeptic. I make some videos. I have a couple of subscribers and cool stuff. I'm actually, as of this week, I'm actually starting to do that full time because I have some patrons that really like me.
Yeah,
so I feel really grateful for that.
If you want to support a good content creator, go to Drew's Patreon and please support him. Throw him $1, throw him $5 if you can.
Well, I really appreciate it. And yeah, Anthony, I appreciate you, being a patron of mine too. So that's really awesome. And I'm just saying, I have to say this publicly as many times as I can, but I'll have to have you on the channel for sure. I already have an idea in mind, like a whole outline and everything. Once we both have some time, then I'll get with you about that.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm also on Twitter, GM_skeptic. GM Skeptic was already taken, so I live with the underscore.
Do with what you can.
Cool. So Iain, how would you?
Yeah, I've got no social media to plug, but if there's any young people watching, I encourage you all to try out SE if you haven't already, and of course join our group. But yeah, aside from that, this is all really interesting. And thanks for having me.
All right, Rachel.
Really glad to have you here.
All right, so last night I got Twitter and YouTube, so you can find me at RachelinReality on YouTube. Be my first subscriber. And on Twitter, it's RachelinReality. So RICH in reality. I will be creating some YouTube content eventually. I'm not sure quite when, but I'd like to start getting into that. So.
A pro tip, your first few videos, if you just look at mine, they're going to be really, really crappy. I think that Reid is one of the only people I've ever seen that just came out of the gate strong, but Reid actually has some professional background in it, and I understand, so he's got a good excuse. But your first few videos are going to be really awful, and it has no reflection on you, so just do it. Just
glad you have faith in me, Drew.
That's right. Oh, there it is. I was actually just
Very
looking
cool.
for your channel. You got a subscriber. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you put out.
All right,
Great.
Dan.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter at objectivelydan, and
You're getting choppy.
again, what?
You're getting choppy.
Oh, you can follow me on Twitter at objectivelydan, and my YouTube right now is The Man Comic Dan, but I'm going to be changing it to Objectively Dan as well, and that's probably where we'll be hosting our kind of young SE podcast content or community hangout content as well, possibly. So if you're interested in seeing that happen, go ahead and subscribe. And that way you'll get it as soon as you can. If you want to PM me on Facebook, I'm usually okay with that. And obviously you can find me in the Street Epistemology study group and the Young Street Epistemology Facebook group as well.
Okay.
Cool. I think we understood most of that.
I went ahead and just posted his handle in the chat in case anyone couldn't understand the choppiness. So,
Oh, sorry.
And we'll put a link to that in the show notes as well for people who are listening to this. I guess
All
I'll
right.
give mine before going to Reid's there.
Yeah.
So you can follow me on Twitter at Magnabosco, and then my YouTube channel is Magnabosco210. And yes, my earlier stuff was a little rough, and I think the production quality as well as the content has improved over time. And I have a lot of family stuff going on this week, but I think next week I'm going to get back out there and start filming some more stuff. So new content should be coming pretty soon.
awesome.
All right. And you can find me at YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, Cordial Curiosity, and on Twitter at Cordial Curious. It wouldn't fit for that one. So that's me.
Great show,
all right,
everybody.
guys.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
Really
you for
enjoyed talking
having
to you
me.
guys. Keep up the great work.
All right.
See ya.